County, Trumbull County, Ashtabula, Lake, Geauga, and parts of Portage and Mahoning County as well. So I've been driving around a lot in the last, basically since September. I announced my candidacy in September. If you look at Mark Zetzer for Congress.com or look up my name, you'll see a pretty cool video of me announcing my candidacy on the beach in Mentor Headlands. And it's in tribute to the Battle of Lake Erie, which happened. That was the anniversary of the Battle of Lake Erie that I did it. And I try to be dramatic. My background is in marketing and advertising. I've worked in the private sector my whole life. So I was trying to be different, and I think it's a pretty cool video. Google put up a note that they were banning me, or shadow banning me maybe, because of what I said in the video. I'm like, I think it's because I said no foreign workers or something like that, because they said that might be offensive. So the video may not be getting the coverage that I was hoping. So, but it's still up there, and it's also on Rumble, so you can watch it. But that was in September, and in April, I announced an exploratory committee because I wanted to see what is this worth running, because the incumbent is very entrenched, has a lot of money. Dave Joyce, he's been in there 7 terms. He's got a huge war chest of over $3 million. So I'm like, do I really want to do this? And I had to kind of drive around, go to the county fairs, talk to Republicans, and just ask them, like, what do you think of your representative, Dave Joyce? And just not a scientific poll, but a personal anecdotal poll, is that about 60% of them said they didn't like him. They wanted somebody else. He's been there a long time. He's not a strong conservative. He votes with Democrats maybe half the time in Congress. That's his record over 14 years now. And at random times too, where they don't expect it. So the margins are slim in the House for President Trump's agenda. So we don't want somebody like Dave Joyce to suddenly vote against Republicans and blow the vote. He did that once at least when they tried to censure Merrick Garland, the Attorney General for Joe Biden, who was harassing conservatives. And I think he blocked the vote. I think Dave Joyce was the one Republican vote that blocked it. He could have been Merrick Garland should have been arrested. He was violating the law and using it to target people for political reasons, law-abiding citizens, including the January 6 protesters, people who are really peacefully praying at abortion clinics, parents who were going to their kids' school and protesting having boys in girls' locker rooms or boys in girls' bathrooms or boys and girls' sports, and also the COVID mandates and COVID lockdowns. So Merrick Garland should have faced the music. He should have been indicted for all that, and Dave Joyce saved his. So I don't know if Dave Joyce, that's why they call them rhinos, Republican in name only. So I was getting this vibe as I was going around, and that's why I decided to run, because I think we need a challenger. And who knows? I mean, the filing deadline is coming up in February, and that's when we'll know if somebody else steps into the race too. There may be other people. I think in 24 there were 3 or 4 in total, including Dave Joyce. So that's democracy at work, and I'm semi-retired and I can do it. I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of talent and heart and soul, and I'm going to go all the way. I'm already filed my signatures, and I will be on the ballot in the May 5th primary election. So I'm going all the way, and I think it's worth it, because I've got 3 kids. I want them to have a better life. I've kind of not been able to do as well as my dad. My dad raised me in a solidly middle class upbringing, and I've had to struggle with my ex-wife and I. We had to struggle to make that same lifestyle for our 3 kids, And it wasn't for lack of trying or lack of work or lack of education. We really were doing everything right, and we were willing to relocate and follow opportunities. And we've just been downwardly mobile. And this is a trend, I think, a generational trend over time, and it doesn't look good for Generation Z. And I want them to have a better life and not have to deal with these recession, inflation, wars that never end. So that's one of the reasons why I'm running. And I think I have some ideas. Coming from the private sector, we don't mess around. We have to have results. Many of you may know this, and I'm not knocking people who work in the public sector, but you have to deliver in the private sector. You have to take care of your customers. You have to take care of your investors, your employees, management. If you don't, you get fired, or you lose business, or you go out of business. There doesn't seem to be the same accountability in government that I can see. If someone is not doing their job in Congress or in government, you almost never hear of consequences. In fact, many times they get rewarded and they become wealthy, like public sector, like Dave Joyce, say, the incumbent congressman. He's a multimillionaire, and I'm not knocking wealth at all. I would love to be successful. I think everybody should want to be successful and financially independent, but he's a public servant. He's been a public servant his whole career, and it's a bad look. And he needs to be able to answer questions in a debate about how he's got all this money. And there's not rumors, but if you look up Dave Joyce's name and the Stock Act is STOCK. It's a law. It was passed. It's Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge. So if you all heard about insider trading is illegal. And if you or I did it, insider trading, we could be in a lot of trouble. Apparently, Dave Joyce has done it, violated the Stock Act many times, like over 100 times. So this was something on X that I saw, and so I haven't looked it up to see if it's true. But that's very concerning, and I don't know. I looked it up. I don't know of any other congressman or senator who's been indicted for this Stock Act, for violating it. I think Nancy Pelosi is one of the worst offenders, and she's become quite wealthy in the public sector as well. But Dave Joyce is like right in the top 5, and this is not a good look at all. So I'm trying to get him in a debate. I'm going to invite him to several locations. Some of it remote, some of it on radio, some of it in a place like this. Maybe we could do it right here. I think that would be a good draw. And so that's part of my campaign is to get him to come out and answer to questions. And I'm everything's civil. I want it to be democratic, just like you follow Robert's Rules of Order in the Congress. We can do this and talk civilly. I like President Trump, but I don't really like his. Sometimes his style is a little bit childish. Sometimes he calls people names, and he turns his opinion really quick. I'm trying to be a little more professional, but not because I don't admire the guy. He's been very successful, and it's great that we have someone from the private sector in a position of power in government, and you can see that he really tries to get results. But I don't want to talk the whole time. Does anybody does anybody have any questions about current events or about the federal government? Any questions at all? That would kind of give me a direction what to talk about. Yes, sir.
I don't think now is the time to talk against President Trump. I'm a MAGA guy, and he's getting shit done. And I feel as though if you disagree the way his childish antics are portrayed, then you probably shouldn't wear the hat. I'm just saying. I'm just calling it out. If you don't agree with his childish antics, I don't think it's childish. I think he's got balls of steel. And if you ain't afraid to flaunt it, we can giggle, because when you know you can giggle when you know you're gonna win. And I think Trump knows that. And he pokes fun at it. And he gets results. So, I don't know. I mean, you had me, until you said, I don't agree with Trump, and I think he's childish. That's great. Don't ride it on Trump hat then.
Good point, good point. Maybe that didn't come out right, but I just try to be civil and professional up front, but if it comes to, I'm not against name calling people what they are, like Rhino. I mean, some people think that is derogatory. It is when you're talking about a Republican. But I want it to be true, and I totally agree with you. He does have balls of steel. He does deliver, and we need somebody like that. Sometimes he's unfiltered. He doesn't have like PR people checking what he tweets and what.
That's what we need. We need a less politically correct.
Well, right. I certainly don't have anybody checking my stuff, what I put out. At least not yet. I want to keep it that way. But good point. Good point. But I definitely want to keep that if that's okay. Maybe somebody remembers Newt Gingrich. Does anybody remember Newt Gingrich? He was Speaker of the House in 1990. That is an example of good congressional leadership, and that's what I want to have base my campaign on. Is Newt Gingrich accomplished something pretty amazing for Republicans in 1994. This was a midterm election like it is now, and he was able to. He wrote up what anybody's called the Contract with America. If anybody's ever heard that, the Contract with America really brought people to the polls. It brought people to vote Republican, and it promised a very specific list of legislative goals that made a difference and that really turned the economy around for me. That was like the 1990s was the most extended period of prosperity that I've ever experienced. And having grown up in the 1970s, inflation, and then 1980s recession, and stock market crashes and everything, the 1990s was a period of extended prosperity that I was able to achieve my American dream of getting married, getting a steady job, buying a house, and having kids. And part of that has to do with Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich, his contract with America helped to actually balance the budget. And that was the only time in my lifetime where he was able to, that I've known that the Congress was able to balance the budget. It's really unheard of. I think it was at least 1, if not 2 years that Congress did that. And that was part of the contract with America. Also was welfare reform. Why were we paying people who could work not to work? And we still have that problem. And I just remember President Bill Clinton, who was a Democrat, reading and kind of confessing in front of Congress that the era of big government was over. And that was a major victory for Republicans and for Americans, that a Democrat president could be basically controlled and owned by Congress, by a Republican Congress, because they had so many seats. They had over 50-seat majority in the House and 5 or 6 seat majority in the Senate. And that was because they specified exactly what they were going to do and how they were going to do it, and they did it. And the economy improved. And that was a time where, if anybody's ever heard of deflation, you all know what inflation is. We're going through it right now. But does anybody know what deflation is? Has anybody ever seen it? And I'm not talking about big screen TVs and electronics. Those obviously go down in price because of technology. But deflation is what I actually saw for myself in the 1990s. and prices were, you go to the store and it was like the packaging was getting bigger. They were trying to outcompete each other. Like, this package is even bigger and it costs us down. So it's not just cheaper, it's bigger. So that's deflation. Thanks for coming out. And that is true. That can really happen. And that's not electronics. That's just regular goods that you need to buy. Food, toiletries. It seemed like gas was... I remember when I bought my first new economy car. It was a Honda Civic. I think it was 1998. And it got 36 miles a gallon. But I went to go fill it up for the first time. And the price of gas was 98 cents a gallon. And I thought, wow, why did I buy an economy car? But of course, in about 6 or 7 years, the gas was $5 a gallon. So that was the inflation of the 2000s. And I was glad that I had that Honda Civic. But so deflation can happen, and it needs to happen if we're going to make America great again. If we're going to have the ability for average people to better themselves. Does anybody here? How would you describe your experience? Are you getting? Are you having a good? Are you able to keep up with prices, or you feel like you're falling behind? What is? I want to do a little poll here.
It's hard to keep up with prices.
Yes, it is. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And well, I
And
do
the
have.
raise on minimum wage and the taxes. Yeah, I could go on and on about that.
Right, and I'm sure many other people. I have a background in economics. I studied economics in college. I graduated a degree in business analysis, and I worked for 25 years in a company that did industry analysis studies. And so I worked in the marketing department, but I also had to read a lot of the studies in order to write and to sell them. So I know how that wages are like the last thing to go up. So like if the cost of living goes up, and the cost of materials and the cost of production, wages are like the last thing. So to think that people who are just at an hourly wage are going to be able to keep up, they're not. You can't. I can't. You just keep cutting and cutting and cutting because especially if inflation keeps going like it is now. So that's not a winning situation. And people in the government are like, and in the media, and they all say inflation is good. Inflation is necessary because that's how you're going to get rid of the debt. The public debt in the federal government is you just inflate it away. In other words, they just print the money and it's inflated, and when they pay off the borrowed money, it's with cheaper dollars. So that's a problem, and that's not the way you get rid of debt. You get rid of debt by balancing your budget, and then growing the economy so that you have more tax revenues. That's how you do it, and that way people can better themselves. But it really irks me that you have pundits and people in economics talking about inflation. And the Commerce Department, that's another department that I just think is just worthless. It should be shut down. They basically lie about everything. They lie about the rate of growth. They lie about the rate of inflation. They lie about unemployment rate. It's constantly. It's never like what I experience. They'll say during like 2 years ago, they said, "Oh, inflation's really high. It's 9%." I think the inflation that I was experiencing was like 20%, and especially housing and construction. I think the prices of like a new roof. I'm getting a new roof put on right now, and it's going to cost me about $55,000. But I think it was 3 years ago, the same roof, metal roof. I think they quoted me $24,000. That was only 3 or 4 years ago. So that's 100% inflation. And housing is the main category where everybody needs a house. Everybody needs a place to live, especially if a young couple wants to start a family. And housing is it's just out of reach. It's becoming out of reach it's out of reach for me, and I'm retired. But it's out of reach, especially for young people who don't have that nest egg built up. So that's a huge issue of affordability, and I want the Congress to address that. And part of that is, I think, the limited government. That if you get the government down to its constitutional limits, and you don't have the government badgering people all the time and trying to it's cost of compliance of dealing with all this red tape, then you lower the cost, but also you increase the innovation, and people can suddenly make money at doing more things, and that is what brings prices down. If we have more opportunities, more choices, the cost goes down because you have more. It's abundance. When you have abundance, it's affordable. And abundance is the blessing of liberty. So that's why liberty works so well for America. We grew tremendously in, say, the 1800s. And we had almost no inflation. From like 1776 to 1913, the U.S. dollar actually gained value. Believe it or not, it gained value. So you could take a paper dollar note, and put it in a box or bury it, and it would not lose value. Think about that. We're all accustomed to believe that inflation is normal. It's not. Inflation is a tax, and it's theft, really, because they're stealing your time. Because when you have money, you gave your time, and somebody gave you money. So that money banks your time. So it's part of your life. It's your time, your sweat, your blood, and your tears. And if it's inflation, they're stealing your time as well. So this is very insidious. It's got to stop. And I think the best way to deal with that is to have sound money. That would be another major category that I would want to bring to Congress, that I would want to vote for in Congress. And that would mean, sound money means you don't have inflation. You have money that can't be deflated. So, like, does anybody have, say, cryptocurrency? Does anybody have, like, Bitcoin? Would be the main one, or Ethereum? What those do, and the reason why they're becoming popular, is because they're not centrally controlled. There is no central entity that can deflate it. So it's a controlled and measured amount of supply, so that the value is not going to be deflated by oversupply. And it's not controlled by anybody. Like, nobody centrally controls a cryptocurrency. And this is an option for sound money. So to implement sound money, you have to get rid of the central bank. And the central bank is the Federal Reserve. It was founded in 1913, and it basically manipulates the money supply to whoever they want to benefit. Mainly the government, but also investors, the people who get the money first. And so they're purposely inflating. And now President Trump wants to fire the current Fed chairman, and I don't know what difference it would make, but he should be. He should be replaced by somebody who's loyal to President Trump, for sure. But you have to get sound money, you've got to get rid of the central bank. And because then everyone can choose their own currency. So if you want to store your money, it could be in dollars. But what if it's going to lose money? You could put it in something else. You could put it in another currency. And you could also use a different currency for trade. If you say you go to pay your bill here tonight, you have options, right? You can pay credit card, you can write a check, you can pay cash. But what if you could just use a different currency altogether? Maybe a foreign currency, maybe silver coins, maybe crypto. And that is how you keep the money honest. That's how because dollars, the U.S. dollar, I certainly don't want to lose the U.S. dollar. A lot of people say that the U.S. dollar is going to be destroyed. That it's going to be a run on the dollar and it'll be completely inflated away. I don't think that's a good idea. President Trump has said he doesn't want that to happen, but we have to make the dollar honest, and we do that by having competition. Competition always brings out the best. So if the dollar could compete or had to compete with other currencies, then they wouldn't inflate the dollar away, and inflation would go away. In fact, the dollar could gain value. Actually, I don't know if you want to invest in the dollar and hold dollars. You still want to make investments, but if you didn't, you could still be sure that it was safe, because even a money market is not completely safe, especially in a bank. Banks fail. We had bank failures in 2008, 2009. Some of the big banks were bailed out, if anybody remembers that. I disagreed with that policy. But a lot of banks did not get bailed out, a lot of smaller banks. So it's not it's a risk, is what I'm saying. In order to keep up with inflation, people are forced to risk their money and risk their savings. And this is not good for people who don't have a lot of money, like myself. So sound money would be the second thing. The next thing would be about foreign wars. Obviously, we've had foreign wars that went on for decades recently. They didn't seem to have a purpose. The mission kept changing, and our America's finest are out there fighting and dying. And what were we achieving, really? We ended up withdrawing and really not achieving anything. So President Trump had the idea, when he ran in 2016, he was in a debate with Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush was the brother of George W. Bush, who had been president in the 2000s, who had started the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And President Trump just looked at him in the middle of the debate and said, the Iraq war was a big fat mistake. And it really changed the race. And he was saying what everybody wanted to hear, but was afraid to say. And he was able to say it to Jeb Bush's face. And Jeb Bush was the pick by the Republican Party. He had hundreds of millions of dollars, and he was sure that he was going to be the next president. And it all changed that night. History changed that night. And Donald Trump was, he really, that's the kind of policy that I said. And that was when I said, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump in the primary. Because he had the guts to say what was true. And we shouldn't be wasting our precious blood and treasure on endless wars. So I've thought about this latest war in Venezuela. Does anybody have any comments about the war in Venezuela? Any questions? That was immediately, I'm thinking, because I was in Boardman at a Republican event, and suddenly it was the other TV station, not this one. It was WKBN, I think. And the guy's like, wants to interview me about the Venezuela war, and I didn't even know what it was. I didn't see the news that day. And I'm thinking, he said, well, what is your opinion? I said, well, I didn't vote for wars. That's why I voted for President Trump. I don't want foreign wars. But I went home later that night and did some research, and apparently this really isn't so much a war as it is a police action, because this Maduro dictator was indicted by the Biden administration because he was holding on to power illegally, and I think he was engaging in drug trafficking into the United States. So it's more of a police action, and the way President Trump handles it, he just goes in there and does it. We have the military. Why can't we get things done? We had the military in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years. What's that? Oh, Venezuela? Oh, right. Because China's been getting into South America. Yeah, so I think I would favor what President Trump is doing right now, because even though it's a foreign war, it's not the way it's been done. Because it's with a purpose. It's to defend America. It's in our hemisphere. mean, we've had wars overseas for, since World War I. And did we ever gain any territory? Did we ever gain resources or population or anything? No, we didn't. We lost a lot of people. And so I like that approach. And I think it's a very quick action. And we can continue to do that to protect our hemisphere. This is what we call the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine goes back to like 1824 or something. And it basically said to Europe, after Europe had attacked America repeatedly, especially the British in the War of 1812, it said, hey, we're in control of the Western Hemisphere now. This is our area, and any European power that comes into the Western Hemisphere and tries to take over a country is going to be answering to us because it's too close to home. We are protected by two oceans, and that's what the Monroe Doctrine is. And I think this is a return to that. It's a very good one. This helps about America First, coming back, protecting our borders, but also protecting our hemisphere from foreign influence, especially China. So I would say, right. So then, but we take the oil and sell it, but we're not going to sell it to China. Is that what you're saying?
No, if we do sell it to China, we're not paying on the
Oh, selling at market rates, right? And I'm sure we take a cut. And yeah, that's a good point. So this is a.
It's just more roundabout than what you're getting.
Yes.
It's going to hurt China more than it's helping us, which in turn will help us.
Right, and I think China has been getting a lot of influence in South America, and
I'm not a Trump fan, but this is one of the things I.
yes, I would agree with you. Yes, because like my first reaction, and I said it even on camera, was that, oh no, we're starting another war. We're going to be in there for 20 years. No, that's not what's going on. Right. I think you're right. China is like a proxy war, and we want to keep them out of our hemisphere. And now there's also the issue of Taiwan, where supposedly we do have a treaty to protect Taiwan, and we've been hearing now that China's going to invade Taiwan and take it. So, but then that's in their hemisphere. So I would have to think hard about that. Like, should we defend Taiwan? I think in the meantime, we want to make our chips, or we want to make those chips over here, and bring all that manufacturing here, assuming that Taiwan's going to be taken. And why not? We have the people and the factories here anyway. Let's make it here. So, but we need the federal government to not make everything expensive. I think with labor, the federal government makes American labor more expensive than it needs to be. It raises by inflation. It raises the cost of living, and so you got to pay people more, Americans more. But also the red tape and the bureaucracy makes the cost and the overhead of having American employees more expensive. So the American worker is very productive, and they're not lazy, and they're not dumb and stupid. The American worker is just being hampered by the federal government and made to be more expensive than they should be. So I think as far as we can have factories here and be very successful, more factories, bring it here, especially what they're doing in Taiwan. Like, why is Taiwan the main producer of certain chips? That doesn't make any sense. It has to be spread out, especially here, I think. Also, there was the attack in Iran. Trump attacked the nuclear sites in Iran, and that was earlier in 2025. And I was also concerned then, like, oh, are we going to start a war in Iran? But, right, exactly. He did the job, and he did it quick, and he did it correctly. So he's really got the right idea, and so far I really like his foreign policy. So no, I think we'd say.
Consider a fencer. I don't like either side. I want people who are going to do the best for the people.
Right.
Forget your political background. Well, let's do this to this side. Oh, let's counteract this side.
Well, oh yeah, it's for that's what Americans. Right, make America great again, not make Republicans great again. You know, it's for everybody. I totally agree. That's his appeal. He was a Democrat originally, and he has appeal across parties. That's why he got elected, and I totally support him. But I think so. I think his foreign policy is good. He's not going overboard with the wars. He's being precise. He's being effective, and he's being he's being strong. He's being like, you're not going to mess with the U.S. and he's using the military that we have. So that's a good thing. Another thing I would say would be I really have a problem with foreign workers, and I think this is what got me in trouble on Google. And I don't know why, because America First is about American workers. Like, why do we have Why do we have foreign workers coming in and taking jobs? That we have American unemployment. American unemployment right now is still, I'm not sure, 3% maybe. It doesn't, it should be 0% before we bring anybody in. These guest worker visas, the H-1Bs, I don't agree with those. Especially they're taking tech jobs, and that's kind of what I used to do, and my brother used to do, and people who were successful and experienced, we can't get jobs anymore because there's thousands and thousands of people coming in from India and China and South Korea, and they're taking the jobs with these H-1B visas, and it's like they're indentured servants. They're not citizens. They don't pay full taxes. They don't have full benefits. They don't have full rights. So the companies can pay them less. And so this is, and President Trump has actually said we need more guest workers, and I disagree with that policy. And obviously with illegal aliens coming in, we apparently have 50 million illegal aliens in this country. And obviously some of them are working. I mean, none of them should be on welfare, that's for sure. And we need to get them out. And he's starting with the serious criminals. And so far he's deported, I don't know, 300,000, 500,000? Which is a lot, but obviously we need to deport a lot more. I think...
How many of those are sitting in their jails right now?
What's that?
How many of those illegals are sitting in jails right now?
I don't know, but they should not be sitting there. They should be deported. Oh, right. You're saying they're already in jail. Right. Good. That's a great idea. Absolutely. That would make sense because they're already incarcerated. We've already caught them.
And they're costing us how much tax money?
Right.
Per day?
Yeah. Send them home. But what people don't remember is that there's a lot of protests over what President Trump is doing. And they completely forget that under the Democrat president, Barack Obama, he deported 3 million illegals. 5 million? Probably, yeah. And that was where the whole kids in cages meme came from. That was from the Obama administration. The kids in cages meme. And they tried to pin that on Trump, and no, he didn't start that. So, as someone like me, I'm technically semi-retired right now, but really I need to work, and I've been applying for jobs. But I've had no offers. This is disturbing. I don't want any foreign workers here. If we have unemployment, anything over 0%, we should have no foreign workers. Also, there's the issue of workforce participation. What that means is people who are of able-bodied, working age, say like 18 to 65, who basically are not working because they gave up looking. Because as anyone knows, has anybody ever looked for a job and couldn't find one? It's a lot of work to try to find a job. It takes days, hours. And a lot of people just give up after a while because you wasted all your time trying to apply to jobs. You don't even hear back. So I lost my career in 2016. I think it was because I supported President Trump. But I've applied since then to over 500 jobs, as I keep a record of all the jobs I applied for. 500 jobs. I mean, that's over almost 10 years now, but still. And that was a lot of work. That was a lot of hours. So at some point, you just give up. So then I'm no longer participating in the workforce. So that's called workforce participation, where someone stops looking for work. So that also is a big factor. If you have people who want to work but have given up looking, they still want to work. They just don't want to waste their time applying. So that's another. If workforce participation is not 100%, then no foreign workers. That's my thought. But obviously, I would be in Congress, and I'm not running for president, so I would have to compromise and work with other colleagues to get a bill passed. And maybe it wouldn't be as strict. But that's my thought. Does anybody have any thoughts here about labor policy and foreign workers? Should they be allowed in? At what level? I'd like to hear it. Anybody?
When you go to other countries, like if you're retired now, say you wanted to move to New Zealand, you have to prove you won't be on their welfare system before they'll let you move. Why don't we do that?
Right. It makes sense. I think we do that for legal immigration. The problem is the illegal immigration. There's no restrictions at all. They just come in, and I think at one point Biden was flying them in. But I actually sponsored a refugee from the Ukrainian war. I sponsored her and her daughter to come to live with me in my home because her home had been destroyed. And it was a program called Uniting for Ukraine with the Immigration Club. It was under the Biden administration. It was in like 22. And we had to go. It was all totally legal. And exactly like you're saying.
The plane sits at Youngstown Airport. It doesn't have any numbers on its tail. It's still sitting there.
Oh, what's in that plane?
It's just a white Navy 727.
And they use it for what? To import?
I think they were using it to bring illegal aliens in here.
Oh.
That was one of the airports they were bringing them.
Oh, yeah. That's what they had the app, right? They had the phone app, the CPB app, or whatever it was called.
So how come the government's allowed to fly unmarked airplanes when you're not even allowed to drive an unmarked car?
The government is right. They're breaking the law. This is why it's illegal, and they participated in it. And does anybody ever get arrested or indicted for that? Anybody in the Biden administration? No. So that's another thing we need to work on is criminals. They're people in government who don't follow the law. They're criminals as much as anybody else, but they need to be arrested.
That's another thing you have to work on. You got to get everybody out of the Justice Department wants to make them Democrats or Republicans. They should only obey the law. They shouldn't be choosing sides.
They do, and they feel like they're above the law. And you or I if we did, like you said, if we did anything wrong, we could be in big trouble. And that's not justice, and that's not fair. And if I was in Congress, I would want to bring these people to justice. Like who had the idea to fly these people in with unmarked planes? That's totally wrong. And just jump them right over the border, just fly them right in. But when I was doing that application for that woman and her daughter, we had to put everything down, all of my information, all of my financial information, her financial information? Because exactly right. We had to prove that she would not be a burden on the public services. And we could, but it's like, my gosh. And so what about all the millions of illegals? They're a burden, and they don't have to prove anything. And then they're given stuff. It's so wrong. But at least President Trump is putting a stop to it. But then, what about the people who broke the law? Are they going to be brought to justice? They're in the government.
Mexico's suing the wrong people. They're trying to sue the gun companies. Here they should have been trying to sue Obama, who's the one running guns into Mexico.
Oh, really?
Him and the Attorney General at the time, and one of the border patrol was killed by one of those guns, yet nobody faced any consequences for that.
Oh, that would be Eric Holder, Attorney General Eric Holder. Yep.
Are we gonna
He's
sue
pretty
a
crooked.
knife
And
company for somebody getting stabbed?
what's that?
Would we sue a knife company for somebody getting stabbed? That's kind of strange.
Well, I think
Did
it
you say
means.
that they're suing the gun
They're
manufacturer?
pursuing the gun manufacturing, saying we're flooding the market over in Mexico because you're not allowed to own any military caliber gun there, and there's only one gun store in Mexico that you can buy from, and it's from the federal government.
Oh,
But
I thought you were talking about here. Never mind.
No, it's in Mexico. Yeah. I think. So I agree with you, and but everybody's watching, and we see this illegality and this criminality just go unprosecuted. It's demoralizing. It's like, do we live in a country of laws or not? And who knows? You go into Congress and maybe they buy you off, or they threaten you, or they send you to Epstein Island and compromise you. I don't know. But I still want to go and try, you know. I still want to go and try to. Oh, we got two. We got two of them.
it's an ambulance and a fire truck.
Oh, fire truck and ambulance. So I think foreign workers and criminals, yeah.
The other thing you have to do is you have to make it so they can only tax on one once instead of 3 different times. When they deregulated in Ohio here, they had sales tax and everything. If they didn't take the corporate tax off, we were already paying, so we're paying double for gas, electric, and water.
Oh, right. It's really insidious how many taxes they keep adding. You know, at every level, you pay taxes when you earn it. You pay taxes when you invest it, or when you buy a home, and then when you retire or pass away, your inheritance is taxed. It's just.
The sales tax on cars. Sales tax was paid when the car was brand new. How come they keep charging it every time it's sold?
Oh, every time you register, right?
And Ohio, strong arms, you can sell it for under the blue book value. They want the rest of their taxes right to massive letters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's like the property tax.
They didn't bother me, but I wrote a back saying that sales taxes by what you actually paid for the vehicle, not the imagining carrying price that you looked up in a book.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly how the property tax is. You have your house has gone up in value. Oh really? I didn't sell it. Well, according to the market, your house has gone up in value. Therefore, your tax has gone up in value. That's unrealized gains.
Another thing, the capital gains tax. You have like 17% inflation, so 17% of that profit is the exact price you paid it for, but you may be getting more money, but it's the same price you bought it. But they're charging you a capital gains tax on that 17%.
Is that federal tax or state tax? I'm not sure.
Capital tax, capital gains.
Capital gains. I think it's IRS.
Bought gold for $20. You sold it for $150, 17% of that was just inflation. It wasn't
Oh,
capital
right.
gains.
Oh, right. Unrealized gains, capital gains, right. It's terrible. And there's no end to what they'll want to take, right? They'll take everything if they could. And then what? Nothing left. So I definitely want to stop taxes. I want to go back to, the 1800s where the tariffs funded the federal government because it was constitutional, it was limited. And people think that's crazy, but really, that's how you have a prosperous country. And Trump's got the right idea. That's why he's using tariffs. And look at the money he's bringing in through tariffs. I think tariffs could replace the income tax, the federal income tax. I really do. If you had limited government. Really limited government, like constitutionally limited, not trying to do everything that you're trying to do. I would shut down most agencies if I could. I would try to vote for them. Most agencies in the federal government. The what? Oh, yeah. Is that state or federal?
State.
Yeah, I've had to deal with
They
that.
only look out for the companies. They don't look out for the people.
PUCO, right? Right. Yeah, it's everywhere. But I think if we start the federal government and show that it can be done, then the states will follow suit. But Ohioans are really working to get the property tax ended. I've heard also that President Trump wants to end the property tax nationwide. Yes, that's another thing. Right. Why are foreigners able to buy American land? That's what I don't understand. That just doesn't make any sense at all because Americans can't even afford homes, and then you have these wealthy private investors who go in and buy it. Buy properties, lands, apartments, farmland. How is that? That's just not right. Because if you're going to be America first, we have a big country. We have a lot of land, a lot of people. It's a big enough economy within itself. And it's not protectionism. I totally agree. I don't want foreign workers or foreign investors buying American land at all. It's just not right because it's crowding out people who live here. Also foreign students. Foreign students, they're taking spots that Americans can take to get, because the better education, the better chance they have to get a better job.
China's so good at hacking our infrastructure that they should cut the internet cables going from China to here so they can't hack your internet.
Oh, that's a good point. Right, we don't need to, we can get everything here. Or around China. China's not really the source of a lot of great things, like it's TikTok. I don't look at TikTok too much, and supposedly now it's controlled here. But yeah, these are questions that I don't see a lot of Congress people asking. These are obvious questions, like to average people. This doesn't seem right. And hopefully, me being not a wealthy person or a lawyer, I can bring that perspective and bring what you just said, which makes a lot of common sense. But yeah, it doesn't make. They should be buying land. It's crowding it out, driving up the prices. Average people can't afford it. Does anybody else have a topic you want to talk about? Let me take a drink here. A little bit about my background. I started to get involved in politics in high school in late 1970s. And the reason was that inflation was... I could see prices going up and my family's living standard going down. And I'm like, how am I ever going to move out of my parents' house? How am I going to ever go to buy a car, date a girl, or marry a girl, and have a family of my own? Because I could project what prices are going to be. They kept going as high up as they were. So I started getting involved in my high school Young Republican Club. And it was a good experience for me because then I went door to door trying to canvass for Ronald Reagan. He was a candidate at the time in 1980. And I talked to a lot of people, and these were I grew up in a factory town in Anderson, Indiana, and my dad worked for General Motors. He was a plant manager. He was in management, and the neighborhoods that I would go into, even though I was a Republican, we were going into Democrat neighborhoods and asking people what they thought about inflation and things, the same issues we're facing now. And they were pretty fed up with the Democrat Party. They had been basically laid off at the factory, and there was a lot of inflation, and they were looking for anybody who would give them a way out and make their lives better. So they were very open to me talking about Ronald Reagan. And these are what they called them the Reagan Democrats, because in 1980, Republican Ronald Reagan won the presidency by almost every state. He won almost every state. And many Democrats switched parties. So, at that point, I was thinking about having a career in politics and actually going to law school. So, but when Ronald Reagan was elected, I was like, oh, well, we won. So now America's going to be great again. I mean, that literally was Ronald Reagan's slogan, was "Make America Great Again." It's the same one as Donald Trump. Donald Trump borrowed it, I think. But I decided not to go to law school when I went to college because I felt like I had done my job in politics. I didn't need to do it anymore. So I went to business school. But I didn't get involved in politics again until later on. But because I always had that in my back of my mind, if things got really bad, I could try to become active in politics, because that's how you try to make your life better, is through laws. And we, the people, have to be involved if we can't get things right, because things are going to catch up to you, and taxes or regulations, things are going to affect your life, make it worse, make it harder to have a living. It's because we have to be involved to stop it. Unfortunately, it's a lot of work, but that's how I got back into it. And so I tried to escape it. I got in trouble in Cuyahoga County. That's where I got sued by the city of Shaker Heights simply for speaking out against the taxes. And I thought, I don't need this kind of trouble. I just want to keep my house and my family. I don't want to have to move out for some stupid reason like taxes. I can afford the house, I can afford the repairs, but I can't afford the taxes. They go up faster than anything. So I guess I just thought I had to be involved. But then if you get involved and then you get in trouble, and that's how I ended up losing my career, I think. My marriage and my career, they were all... My ex-wife was a Democrat, and my employer was a Democrat, and I think people went crazy over Trump in 2016, and they said, well, if you're going to support Trump, then you're fired, or I'm going to divorce you. And it's pretty crazy if you think about it, but that's when I had to leave Cuyahoga County by myself. So I had to get a whole new career. I became a surveyor and a locator working outside. It's about half the pay what I was making before. I still had kids and still had kids in school, and I still paid child support. I'm still paying child support. But I just feel like, it wasn't infidelity or anything that broke up our marriage. It was politics. And how stupid is that? So I thought I was safe, that I could move out to Geauga County and just rebuild my life and start over. But 2021, with Biden getting installed, the inflation just went up so high, living costs, and then the property taxes went up. You may have experienced that. Does anyone here own a home? Maybe you've experienced the property tax hikes. I think they were statewide. It's like 30% increase on my property tax. And again, unrealized gains. It was just in the numbers. Oh, well, your property's gone up. We need to tax you more. I'm like, well, no, it didn't. I did nothing to it. I made no improvements because the price of all those improvements skyrocketed. I needed a new driveway. I needed a new roof. All these major repairs on the house were basically doubled in price in just a few years. Maybe you experienced this as well. So here we are, taxes and everything, and the inflation is caught up to me. There's really nowhere to hide. You can keep running and thinking you're going into a different county or a different state, and there's nowhere to hide. So that's why I've gotten back involved in politics. Also, I kind of have some time, and I'm thinking about my kids, and hopefully a better world that they'll have, that'll be more affordable, and not as expensive and unaffordable as my life. But how much longer do I need to talk?
You can talk until 8 o'clock if you want to.
Okay.
However long you want to, it's up to you.
What time is it?
I have no idea.
7:24.
7:24.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I'm going to take a break, and I might want to get something to eat. Does anybody mind? Thank you.
You go home hungry from this place, it's your own fault.
Oh, has anyone had the MAGA burger?
Oh, they've released a lot of them.
Is it still on the menu?
It is. It's actually on the
That's what I'm hungry for. Thank you for your attention. I hope I didn't bore you. Here, I'll give you my card. Thanks for Is that coming every month?
I was in the back. I'm so sorry, I was in the back. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can make some questions.
I forgot about it. I'm finished.